Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome back to The Mixer, the segment on this channel where I give you guys all sorts of detailed info about all walks of life and make you seem smart, or rather I seem smart because I talk about things that are smart that could make somebody who's not smart feel smart because of the stuff. Okay, I'm gonna be talking about something very peculiar today, harboring more towards the scientific spectrum of life and what, our very existence. And have you guys ever heard of this little place called Point Nemo? Have you ever heard of that? Because if you have, then this video is gonna suck for you because you're ready to know what I'm gonna talk about. And if not, stick around to the end because you might just learn something new, okay? It is a point of inaccessibility that is present in our oceans today. A point of inaccessibility, as the name says, is a point which you cannot access. Okay, but in all seriousness, it does mark a point that is very difficult to reach, by any criterion. Usually located far out into the ocean. I don't think there are points of inaccessibility on land because if you're on land, you can potentially reach anywhere, but there are a few different ones. There is the northern pole of inaccessibility, the southern pole of inaccessibility, and the one that we're going to be talking about today, the oceanic pole of inaccessibility, okay? God, that is a freaking mouthful. There are also continental poles of inaccessibility, but I'm not going to get into that now because it's going to get way too confusing. But from a scientific standpoint, to illustrate it a little bit more, essentially it is the point that is the furthest away from the coastline, so it is the hardest one for you to reach, especially if you're going by boat. And it implies a maximum degree of continentality or oceanity. Okay, so in these cases here, a point of inaccessibility can actually be defined as the center of the largest circle that can be drawn with an area of interest without encountering a coast. So basically where a coast is imprecisely defined, the pole will also be also imprecise. So essentially the way that it works, Point Nemo is a place in the middle of the ocean that is surrounded by water, and it gets its name from the character from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Captain Nemo. And just in case you guys aren't really too familiar with it, it was released way back well, it was officially published in 1869, by Jules Verne, and eventually was serialized as well, Then it became a book and was published in English in 1872, So yeah, it's been a while, huh? It's been a pretty damn long time since this book was out, and eventually it was made into a movie as well, and it talks about Captain Nemo, who is he's very antisocial. He doesn't really get along with people on land, so he just wanders the oceans aimlessly, knowing his submarine, the Nautilus, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it, so that's where it gets its name from, because it is a very remote point in the middle of bum freak nowhere, and the very interesting thing about Point Nemo is that aside from the very interesting name, it is so far away that it presents kind of like a very classic dilemma. It represents the solution to a dilemma, called the longest swim problem, which it poses this theory that if you were to be placed in the middle of the ocean, if you fell overboard while at a ship at sea, you would at this point be at the point that is the longest distance to any land in any direction, So no matter where you swim, it's gonna take you a very long time for you to get to land, Now, Point Nemo is located in the South Pacific Ocean, and the thing about this is that it is located very haphazardly, perfectly there, placed in the middle of the furthest point from land in all directions. So it is equally distant, it is equally far from Dushi Island to the north, Moti Nui to the northeast, and Mahir Island, to the south. It is exactly 2,688 kilometers away from all of these 3 points equally, which corresponds to 1,670 miles away. That is freaking crazy, man. Just to give you guys an idea, the closest humans to Point Nemo are the astronauts in space. I'm not exaggerating, because the International Space Station is never any more than 258 miles away from Earth at any point. So when they pass over Point Nemo, they are literally closer to it than all of the other islands nearby. because everything else is over 1,000 miles away. The astronauts that pass overhead are closer to this thing than the people on land. Try to let that sink in for a second. And while you do so, I'm gonna show you guys. Can I even show this, man? Like, I went on Google, there did seem to be a few photos, but they might not even be of Point Nemo. If I can find photos of this damn place here, I'm gonna show you guys here. If not, insert random educational documentary clip here. Now, the exact coordinates of Point Nemo, I'm going to write on screen right now. I'm going to show it here. I don't know how the hell you pronounce this. I'm not a freaking oceanic navigator. I don't know what the crap this is, but it's showing up right here right now. These are the coordinates in case you feel the need to go there one day. If you want to visit it, you know, just be wary though, because it's a pretty remote place. It's actually, I don't think that there's any life there, you know, because as far as I know in my little research here, there, because of a lack of nutrients there and food sources, there might not be any animals living there at all, no sea life. And even so, it would be frightening to me, you know. Just in case you guys never watched this video here, I'm going to leave a link to it of me talking about my fear of the ocean, my thalassophobia. So even being in a place like this, completely isolated on a very small patch of land with just thousands of miles of ocean around me, you know, in all directions, not being able to see the horizon at all, I would probably go crazy, even if I knew that there was nothing in the water, you know, because damn, dude. There's no life there at all, you know. It is freaking crazy, and it was discovered in 1992 by a survey engineer who actually mapped out the coordinates in a very rudimentary way. It does say so here. He just calculated the coordinates and identified the 3 closest points of land, you know, and eventually, as early as 2022 this year, you know, Google Maps was used for that, you know, to try to make a better drawn distance, you know. In 1997, 5 years later, we had the famous bloop sound that was recorded, you know, and at first it was speculated to be a very large sea creature, but eventually it was discovered that it was just breaking ice shelves, you know, so nothing really too sinister there. However, it's actually funny because this whole mythos here of Point Nemo being so isolated and having the bloop having occurred there, you know, it actually played a major role in this story by a certain writer named H.P. Lovecraft, you know. In 1926, he wrote a story called The Call of Cthulhu, you know. I'm pretty sure you guys know who this entity is, which was eventually published in 1928, 2 years later, and, you know, astonishingly and frighteningly, you know, the coordinates that he gave for the lost city of Ryla are very, very close to Point Nemo in real life, you know. So of course people, conspiracy nut jobs started to talk about, no, that's where Cthulhu is, you know, that's where the sea creature is, he's gonna come in and slave us and this and that, you know. Obviously none of that is real, you know, but still there are speculations that 66 years later there might actually be some kind of large yet undiscovered creature of some sort, you know, but that's obviously not the case, you know. And it was eventually discovered that it was just, you know, ice breaking off, so it's really not like, nah. But anyway, so a few more facts about it, you know, and the thing is that Point Nemo is also very popular, used as a spaceship graveyard, you know. Matter of fact, I do believe the International Space Station, you know, or some of the sort, you know, it actually is planned to crash into Point Nemo in 2031, you know. NASA tries to aim satellites and other space debris to crash there because it's so remote, you know. So if you dive underwater in Point Nemo, you're going to see a cemetery of spaceships, man, and that is probably going to be creepy as hell. That is like, imagine just diving down there, Man of Medan style, you know, and you just see darkness and a lot of debris from space there, you know. It's got to be creepy as hell. Even if there's no life down there, it's haunting, you know. It's really haunting. And they actually, you know, there are hundreds of satellites down there, space stations, you know, and whenever they re-enter the atmosphere, they are directed towards there, so they crash in the water, you know, where nobody is around to witness, you know, because of also maritime traffic, and so avoiding the risk of also hitting damn it, wait. It's to lessen the risk of hitting inhabited areas and also maritime traffic, you know, so yes. It is relatively lifeless, like I said, so it doesn't really affect the ecosystem, you know, it doesn't really, nothing really, there's like no risk at all to the environment, so I guess at the very least, the intention is good, you know. So yeah, man, what else can I say? nothing, I guess. There's no other info here. So before I talk about the final entry here, let's take a look at one more thing here. Maybe photos if I had found some at this point, or another video. You know, maybe a part of the same one that I showed before, I don't know. But let's go, man. Let's go.
You look at the map and realize you finally arrived at the oceanic pole of inaccessibility, Point Nemo. A place that occupies 10% of the world's oceans. A place that's called a desert because of the almost complete absence of life. But it doesn't look as bad and scary as it sounds. Quite beautiful, in fact. It could even be the cleanest place in the world's oceans.
So here's the thing. Officially, Point Nemo was discovered by humans in 1992, you know, like I said before. However, NASA had been using that site specifically to deploy, you know, to just drop their space junk since 1971, you know. Because I mean, when it comes to dropping space debris on Earth, you know, they're not really designed to. They're not really designed to functionally survive re-entry into Earth's atmosphere because they usually get destroyed by the heat and fire, you know, of re-entry. However, sometimes sometimes the debris does actually breach through the atmosphere and has to crash somewhere, you know, and it can't go to where people are. So that's why they chose Point Nemo, because of the pretty much zero life found there, you know. And since then, there has been a total of 263 different pieces of space material that has crashed into Point Nemo, you know, which includes a few interesting ones, you know, like some of the world's greatest spacecraft, like for example the Russian Mir space station and NASA's very first space station, which was Skylab, you know. It's kind of funny because even though there's no Lovecraftian creature lurking there, it is filled with things that are literally from outside of this world, you know. Like if you go down there, everything is gonna look so alien to you, you know. Different spacecraft just littering the seabed, you know. It probably looks really scary. I would not dive there even if you paid me, man. I am never gonna go anywhere near that. But still, I think it would be interesting just to maybe see videos from it. You know, I don't think that there are actually any documented videos and photos. That's why I have no idea what I'm even going to put into this video, you know, as the little transitions there. But whatever the hell I can find, I'm gonna give you guys, you know. And I thought this was really cool, and I tried to memorize a few details here and there, but it's a little bit more complicated when you're dealing with something like this with NASA and science, you know. So I tried to give you guys the best kind of information possible, but still, one more interesting tidbit of info, you know. It's called Point Nemo. In case you guys don't know, the word Nemo comes from Latin, you know, and it means no one. So if you translate it roughly, it pretty much means to point no one, you know. Captain Nemo, you know, from back in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, was essentially named, you know, Captain Nobody, Captain No One, you know. So yeah, he was just a regular Joe Nobody, navigating the seas in his freaking submarine, which is really cool, man. The Nautilus, you know, despite being written way back in the 18th century, you know, Jules Verne gave a very, very accurate depiction of what submarines would look like in the future, and he actually came pretty close, you know. That guy was really ahead of his time. But anyway, so I guess that's it. Don't really know what else I can say, so I suppose I'm gonna end the video here. If you are ever interested in going anywhere near a place like this, just beware, because food and water and other resources are very, very scarce, if completely non-existent, you know. I don't even know how any animal could survive there, you know. But there are different factors as to how a pole of inaccessibility is calculated, and if you're into math, go watch another video, go watch Vsauce. I'm not going to talk about that here, you know. That's not why I brought this video to light. I just wanted to share you guys something that I thought was legitimately interesting, so there you go. And if you happen to think so as well, you know, if you happen to like this video, go ahead and give this video a like, and also subscribe to my channel because I release videos every single day. And while you're at it, please consider hitting the notification bell as well, so you can know exactly what time I upload said videos, because it's going to be videos every single day until I can't anymore, until I just drop dead. And that's it, guys. I'm coming back to the mixer and gradually getting back into shape, so that's why these earlier videos might be a little strange, but hopefully you guys are liking them, liking my new scenario and all that, and it's all good. This is Chazzy, signing out for now, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Roll the outro screen.